said, this is Trump country.
In a jaw-dropping confrontation that has left the entire Beltway gasping, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and White House spokesperson Karoline Leavitt engaged in what political insiders are calling the showdown of the decade. What began as a routine press briefing erupted into a firestorm that has social media ablaze, news anchors breathless, and the White House scrambling for damage control. "I've never seen anything like it," whispers one White House aide who witnessed the exchange firsthand. Karoline looked like she'd seen a ghost when AOC started dropping those truth bombs. You could literally see the panic in her eyes as she realized this wasn't going to be the usual back and forth. The drama unfolded when AOC unexpectedly crashed the briefing with receipts in hand and fire in her eyes. Sources close to the Congresswoman reveal she had been strategically planning this moment for weeks, waiting for the perfect opportunity to unveil her bombshell allegations about former President Trump's economic policies. She didn't just come with accusations, dishes our Capitol Hill insider. She came with facts, hard, cold, undeniable facts that left Karoline stammering like a contestant on a game show who just blanked on the million-dollar question. The confrontation reached its explosive climax when AOC passionately declared, "We demand our rights, we demand our freedoms, our due process, and we don't just point a finger and lock someone up without their day in court. Never." The declaration was met with stunned silence, followed by a flurry of camera flashes as photographers scrambled to capture Karoline's deer-in-headlights expression. Karoline's face went through about 7 different emotions in 5 seconds, reveals one veteran reporter who was present. Shock, confusion, panic, anger, more panic, forced composure, and then what I can only describe as the expression of someone who just realized they left the stove on at home. The White House press corps, typically composed and professional, could barely contain their excitement as the exchange heated up. One journalist reportedly dropped their coffee in astonishment, while another was seen frantically texting under the table with the message, "OMG, happening now! Karoline getting destroyed!" The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife, confides a cable news producer who was monitoring the briefing. It was like watching a political version of the Titanic hitting the iceberg. In slow motion, everyone knew disaster was unfolding, but no one could look away. In a desperate attempt to regain control of the narrative, Karoline tried to pivot to familiar talking points about the administration's economic agenda. Trust in President Trump. He knows what he's doing. This is a proven economic formula, she insisted, her voice betraying a slight tremor that body language experts later identified as classic stress response. But the damage was already done. When Karoline mistakenly referred to Judge Boasberg as a Democrat activist appointed by Barack Obama, a reporter quickly corrected her. Judge Boasberg was originally appointed by George W. Bush and then elevated by Barack Obama. I just feel like I should clear that up. That correction was the final nail in the coffin, analyzes political strategist Marcus Wellington. In the high-stakes world of Washington press briefings, getting your facts wrong is like showing up to a gunfight with a water balloon. Game over. Insiders report that Karoline's earpiece was practically smoking as frantic advisors tried to feed her talking points to salvage the situation. "I heard someone backstage literally shout, 'Abort! Abort!'" reveals our White House source. But it was too late. The train had not only left the station, it had careened off the tracks and exploded in spectacular fashion. The fallout from the confrontation has been swift and brutal. Sources inside the White House describe a scene of absolute chaos as senior advisors huddled in emergency meetings throughout the night. People were stress-eating donuts and chugging coffee at 2 a.m., reveals a custodial staff member who overheard fragments of these crisis talks. "I heard someone say, 'This is worse than the time he tweeted Kofef,' and another voice respond, 'At least that was funny. This is a catastrophe.'" Communications staff were reportedly seen running through corridors with armfuls of polling data, while one senior advisor was overheard shouting into their phone, "I don't care if she's meditating in the Hamptons. Get her on the line now." A text message accidentally sent to the wrong number and exclusively obtained by our reporters read, Need spin strategy ASAP. See completely blindsided. AOC has video going viral. Options. Media training experts were allegedly summoned to the White House at midnight for an emergency session with Karoline. They're working on everything from her posture to her tone to her breathing techniques. Confide someone familiar with the arrangement. It's like they're reprogramming her from scratch. Meanwhile, as the White House descended into crisis mode, AOC was spotted casually enjoying an oat milk latte at a trendy DC cafe, looking completely unbothered and frankly a little triumphant, according to fellow patrons. She was sitting there scrolling through her phone with this little smile on her face, reports one onlooker. Every few minutes, she'd chuckle or show something to her aide. They looked like they were having the time of their lives. Social media. Experts note that AOC's Instagram engagement skyrocketed in the hours following the confrontation, with one story post simply featuring the eyes emoji garnering over 2 million views. She doesn't even need to say anything explicit, explains digital strategist Alyssa Chen. Her followers know exactly what she's referring to. That's power communication at its finest. Fashion observers couldn't help but notice that AOC's bold AE red lipstick from the confrontation sold out nationwide within hours. We haven't seen this kind of impact since Meghan Markle wore those sunglasses in 2019, notes style commentator Vivian Parker. The confrontation crimson shade is now being resold on eBay for triple the retail price. As the political world continued to reel from the confrontation, Karoline made what insiders describe as increasingly desperate attempts to rehabilitate her image and regain control of the narrative. Her first move? A hastily arranged appearance on a friendly cable news show where the host promised softball questions and zero follow-ups. But even in this controlled environment, Karoline appeared visibly shaken, according to viewers. She kept adjusting her collar and clearing her throat, notes body language expert Dr. Tanya Reeves. Classic signs of discomfort and anxiety. At one point, she reached for her water glass, and her hand was trembling so much she nearly knocked it over. That's not the image of confidence the White House wants to project. A subsequent attempt to seem relatable with a casual Twitter post about her morning coffee routine fell spectacularly flat when eagle-eyed followers noticed that the IZ's coffee shop in her photo had actually closed 6 months earlier. Using stock photos to seem authentic is like using a fake ID at a high school reunion, quips social media consultant Raj Patel. People can smell the desperation. Even more embarrassing was Karoline's attempt to make light of the situation. During a charity dinner where she joked, "I've had such a quiet, uneventful week, I barely made the news at all." The quip was met with what attendees describe as painful, cricket-chirping silence, followed by the kind of pity laughter you give when your grandmother tells an inappropriate joke at Thanksgiving. The confrontation has spawned a tidal wave of memes, TikTok videos, and remix clips that continue to dominate social media feeds nationwide. Particularly popular is a slow-motion video of Karoline's facial expression changing when corrected about Judge Boasberg, set to the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme song. I've never seen anything go viral this fast, marvels digital trends analyst Kevin Wong. We're talking 50 million views in 24 hours. That's Super Bowl ad territory, except this is completely organic. You can't buy this kind of engagement. Celebrity. Reactions have poured in from across the entertainment spectrum. Pop superstar Ariana Grande cryptically tweeted, when she said, "We demand our rights, I felt that," with a crown emoji, while NBA legend LeBron James shared the clip with the simple caption, "Damn, cold world." Even Hollywood has taken notice, with 3 major studios reportedly racing to secure the rights for a dramatic adaptation of the confrontation. I heard they're looking at Florence Pugh to play AOC and Amanda Seyfried for Karoline, reveals our entertainment industry source. The working title is Meltdown at the Podium, but that could change. In a desperate bid to contain the fallout, the White House communications team has launched what insiders describe as Operation Reputation Rescue. The multi-pronged strategy reportedly includes scheduling Karoline for extremely friendly interviews only, distributing talking points, emphasizing her grace under pressure, and even considering a humanizing profile piece about her passion for rescue dogs. They're trying every trick in the PR playbook, reveals communications consultant Elaine Winters. But it's like trying to put toothpaste back in the tube. Once a moment like this captures the public imagination, there's no containing it. The administration's attempt to pivot away from the confrontation by announcing a new economic initiative fell embarrassingly flat when only 3 reporters showed up for the briefing. Everyone else was busy writing about the showdown, explains a veteran White House correspondent. It's all anyone in this town can talk about. A memo accidentally left in a West Wing printer and obtained exclusively by our reporters outlined a strategy for redirecting public attention through strategic policy announcements, but acknowledged that the CL situation remains a significant vulnerability that requires ongoing management. Professional body language analysts have had a field day dissecting the confrontation frame by frame, pointing to what they call Karoline's telltale signs of panic. Watch her hands closely, advises nonverbal communication expert Dr. Richard Torres. She starts clutching the podium with white knuckles about 20 seconds in. That's classic fight or flight response kicking in. Her body is literally telling her to run, but she's trapped in that briefing room. Particularly revealing, according Kaish to experts, was the moment Karoline touched her pearls 3 times in rapid succession while trying to pivot away from AOC's allegations. That's what we call a self-soothing gesture, explains Dr. Torres. It's something people do unconsciously when they're experiencing extreme stress. She might as well have been waving a flag that said, "I'm completely overwhelmed right now." Even Karoline's breathing patterns have come under scrutiny. If you watch carefully, you can see her switch to shallow upper chest breathing, notes wellness coach and breathing specialist Serena Williams, no relation to the tennis star. That's textbook anxiety response. Your body literally forgets how to breathe properly when you're in panic mode. Political strategists from both sides of the aisle have been studying the confrontation as what one consultant called a masterclass in political timing and delivery. What makes this so fascinating from a strategic perspective is how prepared AOC was, analyzes former presidential campaign manager Derek Sullivan. She knew exactly when to strike, what evidence to bring, and most importantly, how to maintain that cool, collected demeanor that made Karoline's flustered response look even worse by comparison. Democratic insiders reveal that AOC had been meticulously building her case for weeks, gathering economic data, practicing her delivery, and even consulting with body language experts to ensure she projected confidence. She treated this like a courtroom attorney preparing for a high-stakes cross-examination, explains political consultant Tasha Reynolds. While Karoline was preparing for the usual partisan talking points, AOC was playing 3-dimensional chess. Even Republican strategists have privately expressed admiration for the tactical precision of the move. I hate to say it, but that was brilliantly executed, admits one GOP consultant who requested anonymity. When your opponent is expecting a knife fight and you show up with a flamethrower, that's just good strategy. Perhaps the most tantalizing detail to emerge from the confrontation is what Washington insiders are now calling the nuclear folder, a mysterious blue document holder that AOC briefly displayed but never actually opened during the exchange. That folder is pure psychological warfare, explains political theater expert Dr. Margot Weinstein. The power isn't in what's actually inside. It's in making your opponent believe you have something devastating that could be revealed at any moment. Sources close to Karoline claim the sight of that folder caused her visible distress. Her eyes kept darting to it throughout the exchange, notes one observer. You could almost see her wondering, what else does she have in there? That's enough to throw anyone off their game. Speculation about the folder's contents has reached fever pitch in Washington circles, with theories ranging from damning economic data to private communications to nothing at all. Just blank papers as a power move. AOC has playfully fueled the mystery by posting a photo of the closed folder on Instagram with just a zipper mouth emoji as the caption. The post garnered over 3 million likes in less than 2 hours, while political pundits focused on the verbal exchange. Fashion observers noted the striking visual contrast between the two women, which they claim added another layer of symbolism to the confrontation. Karoline was wearing what I call traditional Washington armor, a navy blue suit with a string of pearls. It's the classic DC Power uniform that hasn't changed much since the 1980s, explains style analyst Veronica Chambers. Meanwhile, AOC arrived in a bold red blazer with statement earrings, modern, confident, and impossible to ignore. Before either woman said a word, their clothing was already telling a story about establishment versus disruption. Particularly noted was AOC's choice of shoes, white sneakers paired with her professional attire. That's a deliberate style statement that says, "I'm ready to move quickly and comfortably while you're stuck in your restrictive heels," suggests fashion psychologist Dr. Elena Martinez. It's the sartorial equivalent of showing up to a duel with a more advanced weapon. The visual contrast apparently wasn't lost on viewers. Online searches for red blazers reportedly spiked 4,000% in the hours following the confrontation, while sales of white sneakers similar. To AOC's saw what retail analysts describe as unprecedented interest. Cultural commentators have seized on the confrontation as representative of a broader generational shift in American politics. What we witnessed wasn't just two individuals clashing, it was two entirely different approaches to political communication, explains cultural analyst Professor Jamal Washington. Karoline represented the old-school approach of message discipline and talking points, while AOC embodies the social media generation's emphasis on authenticity and direct engagement. The age gap between the two women, though not substantial in years, has become symbolic of what sociologists call digital native versus digital adopter communication styles.